In this video, we're going to go through learning target 4.2.2, and this learning target goes through the addition, subtraction, and multiplication of polynomials, but you can see here we're just going to go through addition and subtraction because they are very similar and they're tied together, and multiplication is kind of its own thing. So we're going to separate those within this learning target. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to write, like, in general, what is our method for adding and subtracting polynomials. So to add polynomials, I combine like terms. So for adding, it's super simple. You're just going to find your like terms, add them together. You just got to be really careful with the sign. So if you're adding negative numbers, you want to be precise with those. And then we want to make sure that our answer is in standard form. So remember from our first learning target 4.2.1, standard form is in order of highest degree to lowest degree, and we want that to be true when we have our answer. So now I'm going to do an example of addition. So this one says find the sum of the following polynomials. So you need to know that sum means add. And you can also see right in the middle it tells you what to do. There's an addition sign right here. So that will tell us that we need to be adding. So all we're going to do is we are going to add our like terms. So I like to go through and put like a little symbol underneath the terms that are like terms, so I know which ones to combine together. So my x squareds go together. Remember, like terms are the same variable, same exponent. My x's go together. And my constants go together. So the reason I like doing these symbols is now I don't even have to think about it. Now I can just pair the line with the line and the triangle with the triangle. So my 2x squared plus 3x squared gives me 5x squareds. Remember, when you add, we don't change the exponent. You're just kind of thinking of it as x squared is its own thing, like an apple. So if you had 2 apples and 3 apples, you now have 5 apples. So in this case, I have 2x squareds and I have 3x squareds, and now I have 5 of them. And then I like to cross them out as I go, so I know I don't miss anything, and I know I've used everything. Then I have 6x plus negative 2x. So be careful with the negatives. 6 plus negative 2 is like 6 minus 2, which is a positive 4x. So I have 4 x's. And then I have 5 plus negative 1, which also gives me a positive 4. And now once I have combined everything, so you see I've used everything, I want to double check to see if this is in standard form. So highest exponent to lowest. And you can see I have an x squared and then an x and then my constant. So this is in standard form, which makes this my answer. If you need to pause that to write that down, please do so. And then we're going to talk about how subtraction is a little bit different. So for subtraction, it's very, very similar. We just have an extra first step that we need to do for subtraction. So to subtract polynomials, I first add a line, change the sign, and then second, combine like terms. And then again, you want your answer in standard form as well. I just don't want to rewrite it, so I'm just going to do a little arrow there because we want our answers in standard form. So add a line, change the sign is just like a cutesy way to talk about what we're going to do. And so for that, what it's really talking about is like an example is this. 6 minus 4 we know is 2. We also know that 6 plus negative 4 is 2. And so the reason that we want to add a line and change the sign, which means change it from a minus sign to a plus a negative sign, is because subtraction, it's very easy to make mistakes and lose your subtraction symbol as you're working. Not as easy to lose an addition symbol. So if you're just adding every time, then it really helps you. So let me show you what that looks like in our polynomial. So this says simplify the following expression, and simplify doesn't tell us whether we're adding or subtracting or multiplying, which we'll learn later. And so we have to look in between the parentheses, and you see we have a minus sign, so we are subtracting. So in this case, what we're going to do is our first thing is we're going to add a line, which means add a line to that to make it a plus. I like to just draw over it with a big plus sign. And then change the sign. And you notice in my example for changing 6 minus 4 to 6 plus negative 4, I never touched the 6. So the first thing stays the same. The second thing is the only thing that needs to change. So same thing down here. My first polynomial stays exactly the same. Don't touch it. But everything in the second polynomial, we change the sign. So if it was a negative, we change it to a positive. If it was a positive, we change it to a negative. So you have to make sure you remember all the parts. So this one changes to a positive, this to a negative, and this to a negative. So everything in the second polynomial you change, everything in the first you leave the same. Now this problem is exactly the same as this problem. We're just adding, we're going to find our like terms and combine them together. So again, I like to match my like terms with a symbol. So my x to the fourths, I have an x squared here. I don't see any other x squared, so I don't need any other triangles. I have an x. Again, I don't see any plain x's. I have constants. And then this x to the third, I didn't have one over here, so I have to do a new symbol. So we'll just do a circle. So now you notice, like with this one, we had perfect matches. We had 2 lines, we had 2 triangles, we had 2 squigglies. With this one, we don't have perfect matches, so what I want to do is I want to go in order of highest exponent to lowest automatically and go down from there. So 7x to the fourth and 2x to the fourth, so 7 plus positive 2 is 9x to the fourths. Then my next lowest is this x to the third, and I don't have any other circles, so if you don't have any matches, you just bring it down exactly how it is. So remember, I changed this one to a minus, so it's minus 2x to the third. My next lowest is this x squared. Doesn't have any friends. The x doesn't have any friends. And then my constants are my squigglies, so 6 plus negative 10 is negative 4. So now, because I went in order, I know this is in standard form, but I can just double check 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So this is my answer. So for subtraction, you just got to make sure you do that first step of adding a line, so making this a plus, and then changing the sign and everything that comes after. And then you do it the exact same way as addition.